Hey, this is Brian King, and welcome to Resilience Warriors. I am here today with Linsday McCarthy, who's got an awesome story and an even more exciting project she's working on. For those who are unfamiliar with me, I'm growing up with a lot of challenges. I have ADHD, dyslexia, three boys with ADHD and Asperger's, and a host of physical issues. But that's not the headline of my life. The headline of my life is the fact that I'm unstoppable. That regardless of what life throws at me, I see it as an opportunity to be resourceful, to learn something new, to acquire new resources, to build new relationships so that I can accomplish my goals continuously. And that's what I ultimately want to offer to you and teach you by way of this podcast. And Linsday has a very exciting project that she's working on and she's putting out there in the world as a frequent podcast guest, an author, and an awesome mother. So I want her to tell her story so that you can see just how awesome the work is that she's doing. So without further delay, Linsday McCarthy, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me here today, Brian.
Absolutely. So before we jump into what you do, which is the Miracle Morning for Kids, little tease there, give us a little background on you, your life, and what led you to this point.
Sure. So I think by the time I was about 15, I had my whole life planned out. I wanted to play field hockey in college, and then I wanted to get married right away after college and have two kids. I always wanted the boy first and then the girl, and to be done by the time I was 30.
Does life work like that?
It did for me. Like, I followed that plan to a T. I went to James Madison. I played field hockey there. Mike and I met right before my fifth year. I stayed 5 years because I got injured my junior year and took a redshirt year. And so we dated my whole last year of college. He proposed in March. I graduated in May. We got married in September. And then we waited a couple years and Tyler came along. And then 4 years later, his sister was born, and that was a week before my 30th birthday.
That's some wicked law of attraction stuff going on there.
I guess. I've always been good at manifesting.
Man, you got to bottle that somehow. So you made all that happen. What happened next?
Yeah, so after that, I kind of felt a little lost because by the time I was 30, I had already achieved all of my life goals that I had set out to achieve. And I did. I felt a little lost. And I'm like, is this all there is? And that was kind of the time that I got really involved in personal development. And Mike and I went to this conference called the One Life Fully Lived conference. At the time, it was in Reno, Nevada. And we heard this guy, Hal Elrod, talk about the miracle morning. And, you know, Hal's story is really powerful, that he literally died and then he came back to life. And in the process of his recovery from his accident, he kind of created this thing called the miracle morning to like get him back on his feet. And so Mike and I kind of looked at each other and like, we have no excuses. And we said, let's start doing this together. And as we started doing it together, our kids kept interrupting us during our miracle morning. And for people who don't know what the miracle morning is, it's basically you wake up before you have to in order to work on yourself. And there's an acronym called the Life Savers, which stands for silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing. So Hal says, do those 6 things first thing in the morning to work on yourself before you jump into your day. So Mike and I we're trying to do that, and our kids kept waking up earlier, and we're like, man, how are we going to solve this problem? And at the time they were 6 and 2. So Tyler was 6 and Ember was 2. And it took my 2-year-old to say to me, Mommy, I want to do what you're doing. For us to like put 2 and 2 together and be like, oh, maybe we should teach them how to do the miracle morning too. So that was kind of our solution to this problem of our kids interrupting our miracle morning, was let's teach them how to do it themselves. And from that, after a while of doing that, Tyler kind of turned to me and said, Mommy, I don't get it. why do I have to save my life? And I think as adults, a lot of times we turn to personal development because we've kind of hit this rough patch, or we've kind of lost our footing somehow. But as a child, from their perspective, they're brand new to the world. They don't have these same hangups that adults have. And so I think he was just not connecting to the word savers. So I said, well, we don't have to call it savers. You can call it whatever you want. And so we started playing with the words, and we created a miracle morning for children called CHARMS. And the CHARMS acronym stands for creativity, health, affirmations, reading, meditation, and then we added our own S called service. So those are the 6 things our kids do every morning in their miracle morning.
That's beautiful. It's so much more accessible, less abstract.
Mm-hmm.
It's more concrete. And how quickly did you see your kiddos latch onto this idea?
I mean, honestly, it was their idea. Like, they were the ones that kind of interjected themselves into our miracle morning, and then, through that process, created their own version of it. So I think because it was kind of their own idea, they attached to it really quickly. And, it wasn't ever a fight for us to be like, okay, now you have to do your miracle morning. Like, they want to do it. And now that they've been doing it for years, it's just habit. And, all I have to do is say, hey, did you do your charms today? And they're like, oh, I didn't do my affirmations yet. And they just start saying their affirmations.
Now, at some point, this became bigger than just a way to include your kids into the morning family ritual, right?
What do you mean?
It became bigger than your family.
Yeah.
It became something that appealed to others as well.
So flash forward, we went to One Life in 2014, heard Hal speak, started practicing in our own family. And then in 2015, we actually met Hal at the same conference at the One Life Fully Lived, and got to talk to him. And I said, hey, I just want to thank you for writing the Miracle Morning book. We've been practicing it as a family, and it's really changed the trajectory of our family. And he was like, that's so cool. And Tyler was there at the time. He's like, I want to meet your son. And Tyler brought his little affirmation book down to breakfast and was saying his affirmations to Hal Elrod. Hal signed his book for him. And he's like, I want to feature you guys in a book. And then 2 weeks later, I woke up with these poems in my head, which at the time it was still savers. It was how to explain savers to kids better. And so I sent that to Hal in email, and he wrote back, will you guys write the Miracle Morning for kids or for parents? Or we didn't know what it would be called at the time. And we said yes. And that's how we became co-authors of the Miracle Morning for parents and families.
And how long ago was that?
So we signed the contract in 2015 in February, I think. And the book came out in September of that year. So it was a little over a year ago.
And what's happened with the book since then?
I've been on lots of podcasts, and Mike and I have been involved with One Life from the very beginning, but now I've started teaching these live charm sessions at One Life Fully Lived conferences. So I have all the kids in the room, and we go through all the charms. We do a creative project, and we create affirmations. We usually play some games to get their wiggles out and talk about healthy eating. I do like a story time with them, which is always fun. We meditate together, and parents are always shocked if they come into the room when the kids are meditating, because they do it. And it looks differently for kids versus adults. Like, you're not going to expect kids to sit for 20 minutes in meditation. And we do a lot of moving meditation or use props to kind of help them focus. And then we talk about service, and then they might do a service component that day it just depends on how much time I have.
And what kind of feedback have you gotten from the kids and their parents?
I mean, the kids always have really fun with the charm session. They always, I don't know, you can just tell that from the energy in the room before the charms to after the charms is palpable. And I haven't really talked to a whole lot of the parents after the fact, so I really don't know what kind of feedback. But, from the book, all the reviews online, most of them are very positive, and people have told me what a difference having a morning ritual with their kids makes in the morning.
Not only having a ritual, but what the ritual is. Mm-hmm. When I heard an interview on a colleague's podcast with you, and what excited me the most about this, many things actually, I doubt I'll remember them all, but working with kids with ADHD and Asperger's, one of the things that's really unfortunate about their lives is they spend most of their lives being criticized, corrected, redirected, being told, stop that, that's inappropriate, do it this way. And their life becomes about being told what to do, and they don't learn proactive strategies. Mm-hmm. They don't learn how to envision and create their own life. And what the Miracle Morning does, it lays out this very concrete framework, which is how these kiddos tend to work anyway. They see the world in a very concrete way. And it gives them things that they can create. They can decide how they want to engage the world, be of service. They can come up with positive statements they want to make towards themselves in their affirmations. As far as their health goes, meditation, self-reflection, all of those beautiful things that allow them to get a sense of who they are, what they're about, what they want to create. And schools don't teach that to anybody, let alone special needs kids. So having something like this at the beginning of each day, I can just see the potential there for transformation, especially around self-esteem, self-determination. And that is so key to everybody's life, but especially for our kids. I hear a lot, and I don't know what you see on your Facebook news feed, but a lot of questions from parents of how do I explain this violence to my kids? How do I explain the suicide of yet another peer? And there's a lot of pain that who knows if it existed before, but now there's no filter, there's no screen. It's so easy for people to put their stuff out there, and unfortunately, they don't always choose the pleasant stuff to put out there. Yeah. A lot of it's the pain, the frustration, the judgment. And we have to explain to our kids that there's more to the world than this. And the more to the world than this begins with, what do you want to create instead of the noise you keep seeing every single day? And the Miracle Morning seems like a beautiful process to help them begin that journey of becoming who they want to be and creating the impact they want to have on this world. And it's so simple.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, in the book, there's 12 different parenting profiles. And one of the profiles is my friend Cheryl, whose son is actually on the spectrum. And, she echoed a lot of the points you just made, that, they spend hours and hours a day working on his deficiencies. But during his Miracle Morning time, when he's saying his affirmations, that's the time that he's filling himself up, because he's talking about what are my strengths and what can I do, and not what he gets the rest of the day, which is don't do this, you can't do that, let's wait on that, and, he gets a lot of no's all day long. But during his Miracle Morning, he knows exactly what he's supposed to do. The expectations are very cut and dry, and it's structured for him. I think all kids thrive under structure, but especially kids who are on the spectrum, like they need that consistency to feel good about themselves.
Absolutely. And some kind of map. Where's this all getting me? Right. You're telling me I have to learn this and be better at that and be more proficient. What problem is this going to solve other than getting you off my back, Mr. Teacher? Right. And they really don't know the bigger picture because they're rarely told.
Yeah.
There's just so many other possibilities. Maybe you and I should do the Miracle Morning for the autism spectrum or something, because that would, even though just the way you've done it is so beautiful, there are some people that need it really boiled down to their context in order for them to really get it, but that's a different conversation. There are so many opportunities to show people that otherwise feel disempowered that your solutions lay in your morning routine. It's not a matter of waiting till some entity outside yourself, like the government or some huge nonprofit, to come in and rescue you. The solution lies between your own two ears and the strategies that you use.
Yep, exactly.
So that's, such a huge takeaway from this conversation. What else do people need to know about this?
I don't know. I mean, the thing that I love most about the Miracle Morning is that it's just a framework. So if you're a person who likes a lot of variety in your in your morning routine, you can still have that with the Miracle Morning. If you're a person of, who believes in a certain faith, like, you can still put that into your Miracle Morning. I just think it's very adaptable to anyone's needs. And that's the thing I love about the Miracle Morning the most.
An excellent point. Very excellent. Are there also like workbooks that accompany this so that teachers or parents could adapt it in the way you've just described?
Not yet. I'm kind of working on that behind the scenes. I would love to have a workbook that has different themed Miracle Mornings in it. I've kind of started doing that on my blog. There's only one that exists right now.
Well, here's a little fire I'm going to light under you. So go right ahead and crank those out.
Yeah, so it is something I'm working on. It's just me. So.
Oh, I totally get that. When you're one person wearing all the hats, there's only so much productivity you can muster.
Yeah.
But it's exciting enough to know that you're working on it, because I know it's going to be some really wonderful tools that you produce.
Yeah, so I want to have a whole, themed Miracle Mornings that parents can use with their kids or teachers could use in the classroom that have a book recommendation and some, questions to ask that go along with that book to get the kids thinking. It'll have a little creative project, a meditation suggestion, something to do with health, maybe a snack idea or a game that they could play, and a service component. So,
well, that would be exciting to see every school starting the kids' days like that, because I could see how a kid would come from a home that was very tense, having a dysfunctional dynamic and coming feeling stressed, and then going through the process of the Miracle Morning and almost feeling reborn, as though I have a chance to reboot my day and it can actually be better than what I left.
Yep.
Wow. I'm going to pay close attention to you from here on out and all the stuff you're working on. It's very, very cool. And I'm looking forward to using some of your strategies, because they're so real. They get to the heart of who people are and what they can create in this world. And I'm so thrilled to have met you and to know that you're putting this out there in the world. So tell me where people can get what you've already produced.
Well, the book is available on Amazon, The Miracle Morning for Parents and Families. There's a Facebook group of the same name that goes along with it. And I'm in there every day answering questions and welcoming people. My blog is called gratefulparent.com, and that's where the one themed Miracle Morning is.
Hey, it all starts with one, doesn't it?
Yeah, more to come on that.
And I'll be noting all of those things. I'm going to go and hunt down the link to your group, and I'm going to put all that in the show notes so people can find you. This has been one of the most value-packed episodes that I've done, Linsday, and I'm so thrilled that you came on and shared this with us. I'm going to go get some stuff today from you. So
Awesome.
This is great. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.
A pleasure. And again, this is Brian King. If you want to find out more about what I do, you can go to unstoppableadhd.com. This has been Resilience Warriors. Have an awesome day, and we'll see you next time.